Never say this. When police ask who owns the car, you hear the question, who owns this car? It sounds harmless, simple, almost friendly. So you answer without thinking, my friend's or my brother's, or it's my girlfriend's car. You believe honesty ends the conversation. Sometimes it does the opposite, because the question is rarely just about ownership. It is about control, responsibility, permission, and whether the officer has a reason to keep asking questions. Imagine you're driving home after work. Nothing unusual. The speed is normal. Your lights are on. Then, red and blue lights appear in the mirror. You pull over. The officer walks to your window. You hand over your license. Everything feels routine. Then comes a question most people never expect. Who owns the car? You answer immediately. It belongs to my cousin. The officer pauses. Does your cousin know you have it? You smile. Yeah, I think so. Now the conversation changes, because those last three words create uncertainty, and uncertainty almost always leads to more questions. People think the danger comes from lying, but many problems begin with careless answers that sound uncertain. When you are unsure, the officer may become unsure too, and that uncertainty can extend the stop you start. Explaining, you tell the story of how you borrowed it, where your cousin lives, why you have it, when you plan to return it. Before long, you're answering questions that had nothing to do with the original stop. The biggest mistake isn't admitting the car belongs to someone else. Millions of people legally drive vehicles. They do not own rental cars, company vehicles, family cars, borrowed cars. That alone means nothing. The mistake is volunteering information that creates confusion instead of clarity. Many drivers panic when they hear the ownership question. They think they need to prove they are innocent, so they keep talking. I only borrowed it today. I've never driven it before. I don't know if the insurance is updated. I think everything is legal. I hope the registration is still good. Every extra sentence creates another opportunity for misunderstanding. Think about that carefully. You may believe you're helping, but every uncertain statement gives the conversation another direction to go. Imagine another situation. You borrow your neighbor's truck to move furniture. The officer asks, who owns this truck? Instead of simply identifying the owner, you begin telling the entire story. Why you borrowed it, what furniture you're moving, how long you've known your neighbor, where you're going. The officer never asked for any of that yet. Now the stop has become longer than it needed to be. Many people feel uncomfortable with silence. They think silence makes them look guilty, so they fill every pause with unnecessary explanations. But talking more does not automatically make things better. Sometimes it creates new issues that never existed. Another common mistake happens when people guess. Is this your car? I think it's under my dad's name. I believe so. Pretty sure those words sound harmless, but they signal uncertainty. If you genuinely do not know something, it is better not to invent an answer just to sound confident. Guessing can create contradictions later, and contradictions often attract more attention than the original reason for the stop. Now, imagine something different. You borrowed a friend's vehicle for the weekend. The officer asks, who owns it? You identify the owner. Then you stop talking. The officer asks for registration. You provide it if available. The conversation stays focused. Nothing extra, nothing invented, nothing volunteered. That difference matters. Many drivers accidentally turn a 2-minute interaction into 15 minutes, simply because they cannot stop explaining there is another trap. Ownership is often confused with permission. Someone asks, who owns the car, and the driver immediately blurts out, they let me borrow it. But that wasn't the question. The question was ownership, not the entire history of how you obtained the vehicle. Answering questions that were never asked often creates follow-up questions that otherwise would never exist. Stress makes this even worse. Your heart is racing. Your hands are shaking. You want the stop to end, so you speak faster. You jump from one topic to another. Later, you cannot even remember exactly what you said. That is one reason people accidentally contradict themselves. Not because they intended to deceive anyone, but because nervous people often say more than they can keep consistent. Another mistake is trying to sound clever. Some drivers joke, I stole it. It's mine. Today I found it. People think obvious sarcasm cannot be misunderstood, but roadside stops are not the place for jokes. Humor depends on timing, and traffic stops are rarely the right environment for it. Even a joke can instantly change the tone of an encounter. There is another situation people rarely think about. Suppose you just purchased the vehicle. The paperwork has not been completed yet. The officer asks, "Who owns it?" instead of calmly explaining that you recently purchased it and have the available documentation. Some people become defensive. They start arguing before anyone accuses them of anything. Defensiveness often raises more questions than confidence does. Remember something important. An officer asking who owns the car does not automatically mean they think it is stolen. There are many ordinary reasons that question is asked. The registration may list a different name. The vehicle may belong to a rental company. The driver may simply not match the registered owner. Those situations happen every day. Not every question is an accusation. Treating every question like an attack often makes the interaction more difficult. Another common error is arguing about why the officer wants to know. Why does that matter? That's none of your business. What difference does it make whether you agree with the question or not? Arguing rarely shortens the stop. Instead, it usually shifts attention away from the original reason for the traffic stop. People often believe confidence means saying as much as possible. Real confidence is often much quieter. It means staying calm, listening, carefully answering the question that was actually asked, then waiting, not rushing, to fill silence, not trying to predict the next question, not volunteering information that nobody requested. Think back to the beginning. The officer asked only one thing: who owns the car? That question has a specific purpose. Many drivers accidentally transform it into an entire life story. The safest conversation is usually the one that stays focused. Every unnecessary sentence creates another chance for confusion. Every guess creates uncertainty. Every contradiction creates more questions. And every attempt to explain everything can make a routine stop feel much longer than it needed to be. The words you choose matter, but the words you choose not to say can matter just as much. The next time someone asks who owns the car, remember that simple questions deserve simple answers. Stay calm, stay focused. Avoid guessing, avoid joking, avoid volunteering details that were never requested. Sometimes the shortest answer is also the clearest one. If you found this video helpful, subscribe to Warrant Wall for practical, easy-to-understand videos about police encounters, your rights, and common mistakes that can turn a routine stop into a much bigger problem.